Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 6 as China. I do want to take a moment to apologize that I'm pronouncing some of these cities a little bit poorly. I don't really know how I'm supposed to pronounce them, but I'm doing my best. So please stop giving me guff in the comments about it, which will inevitably lead to about 800 comments of like, wow, you're pronouncing Thai UN wrong. UN? Listen, stop. Just leave me alone, okay? I can't deal with this. Now, what I want to do is, in my capital, I'm going to go ahead and get myself an art museum. And the reason I'm getting the art museum, even though typically archaeological museums are better than art museums, is because I'm busy building the Hermitage. And what I want to do is I want to get the maximum amount of works of art in this city, because Pingala, I'm pretty sure this curator promotion does not apply to works of archaeological work. So in order to make the best out of Pingala, I want an art museum in my capital, which will of course allow me to place another piece of artwork from Hieronymus Bosch. I'm also going to want to get this themed if I can, so it might be worth my while to look around the AI and see if I can trade and get another couple of great works. Grabbing this religious artwork would put me at 2 out of the 3 religious artworks I need to theme my capital art museum. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can buy this off of America. And since I'm sitting on a monumental pile of diplomatic favor, I'm also considering to see if I can actually get his great works of writing off him as well. So let's grab the Sistine Chapel. Bam. And this is actually really important to do because America is the top culture per turn player in the game aside from me. And what that means is anything I can do to lower his culture per turn will make it easier for me to win the game. Now, I also currently have room for like 10 more great works of writing. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to America again and see if I can steal these. Now, you could make the argument that I should have done this a little bit earlier in the game, but what this is going to do is it's going to lower his culture per turn, which means he's generating less defensive tourists, and raise my tourism per turn, which means I'm generating more offensive tourists. Now, it's 28 gold for 2 of these great works. However, I think I'll be able to get pretty much every single one of these great works for 112 gold. So I think if I give him every single bit of diplomatic favor I have, it looks like he'll take that deal. And he'll even pay me 12 gold. So I could probably shave a little bit of this Diplo favor off. And it's not like I'm doing anything with that Diplo favor. So for 230 diplomatic favor, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 great works of writing. That seems like a fantastic deal to me. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And it's not like America can really do a whole lot with that diplomatic favor to hurt me. So it's just always in my benefit. And now I have a ton of great works of writing providing me science, culture, and tourism. Honestly, it was a big mistake for me to not to have done this earlier, and people correctly pointed it out to me in the comments. So, even though I am pretty good at the game, I do make mistakes and I forget things. And that's why I love having you guys in the comments reminding me about stuff that you think about. Sometimes you guys post really dumb stuff down there. Not gonna lie. Sometimes I read the comments and I put like my hand on my forehead and I'm just like, good God, I'm in pain after reading that. But I would say maybe at least 60% of the time, you guys say stuff that's worth reading. Chang Pu has managed to level up. I'm going to go ahead and take the Disguise promotion because that lets me move him around if I need to. But we'll continue stealing gold here next turn so that we can get him maxed out to the level 3 promotion. Shanghai has finished another trade route for me, so let's go ahead and organize this by gold. It looks like we can pick up 26 gold per turn from Coupe. I really need to get Coupe to be my ally. So let me have a look and see what our relationship is like. It looks like he should be willing. Yeah, he should be willing soon to take a public friendship. I'm just really hoping if I could get him to be my ally, trading with him would be so valuable. And in anticipation of potentially getting him as an ally, I'm going to start trading with him right now. Now the question is, where do I want this guy to be? I think it would be perfectly reasonable to actually put it in Shanghai. Oh no, my industrial zone has been sabotaged in Chengdu, and I'm also going for an aerodrome just so I can get a couple of airplanes to be able to defend myself. But sabotaging my industrial zone, this represents a huge portion of the amount of production that I have in this local area, so I need to like immediately prioritize repairing that. With the harbour completed in Langfang and Horatio Nelson in position to instantly build a lighthouse and shipyard. Now, if you really think about this, here's the value of this, right? If I were to purchase the lighthouse and shipyard, that would be 1,500 gold. So Horatio Nelson is saving me like 1,500, 1,600 gold by doing this. And not only that, like the amount of production that this shipyard is providing right now, that's 8 production, right? In a population 2 city that was settled like a few turns ago, that is an insane amount of production to be able to have in that city. I'm going to be able to get this thing online incredibly quickly. Oh, the aluminium over here has kind of punched me in the face. I do need more builders, but I also want to be getting my amphitheaters for more great works of writing. And it looks like finally the Maori, actually the turn has rolled over. They will take a friendship with me, and that means they will take a military alliance with me, and that means they will pay me for the privilege of having that little blue flag by their name. First things first, let's go ahead and pop down a couple more of these seaside resorts, and we'll also pop down a forest right here, and that will hopefully get me close to enough appeal here to be able to put another seaside resort in this area. I think I am going to have to get Eiffel Tower this game. So if I do a quick search and look for Eiffel, I don't think anyone is building it. Yeah, nobody is building it yet. So I think I'm safe to rush to computers and then come straight back to steel. Now a builder has been finished in Guangzhou, and we are pretty close to getting another great artist. However, I would really like an archaeological museum to start clearing things out, so I might try to save up a bit of gold to get that going. I also want to see if I can get my hands on like neighborhoods and water parks. And again, Changpu has leveled up, but we're going to go ahead and go back straight away to stealing funds. I also need to get my hands, I have another spy available, but it's really just trying to find a city where I can build it in a reasonable amount of time and not like hurt any of my other plans. I'm also going to chop out this builder, and then we can start getting the major wall that we planned in here going. There is mass media unlocking the Cristo Redentor, and the Cristo Redentor and the Broadway are 2 wonders that we're definitely going to want to try to get our hands on. Most importantly, the Cristo Redentor. I could maybe pass on Broadway, although that said, it wouldn't be a too terrible wonder to get in my capital. The question is, it would compete for the Eiffel Tower, and then I would have to try to find somewhere else to build the Eiffel Tower. And that might be Chengdu, because it has a decent enough production, and I could maybe get my hands on one of the wonder building great engineers. I think, however, that the Cristo Redentor is just worth more tourism than the Broadway, so I'll be building the Cristo Redentor. I'm actually not even sure how to pronounce it properly, but I'll wait at least until I'm finished the Hermitage to begin building it. We've also managed to finish the Renaissance walls over in Beijing, and this city definitely needs builders, like big time, so I'm going to spend a bit of time picking up some builders in there. Shanghai, I'm going to go ahead and pick up an archaeological museum because I want this archaeologist to pop out, run all the way over to Wuhan, clear that out, and then maybe pick up another one of these relics over here. I have indeed confirmed that you cannot build the Great Wall on floodplains, which kind of makes my life a little bit more awkward, because if I wanted to snake this Great Wall all the way up here, I would need to remove one of these 2 parts. I think for now I'm just going to accept that I can't do anything like that and just build a Great Wall all the way up here and kind of just be happy with that branching Great Wall that we've built. Since I can't actually fit seaside resorts here until I have the Eiffel Tower, I think I'm just going to pop down a couple of colossal heads. They're like pretty workable tiles. They'll give me some extra faith. The big thing I really want to hit here is to grab rock bands if I can. That would allow me to, where is it? It's a Cold War. I'd be able to send those over to America. And you can see here, by the way, America, I believe they had 170 culture per turn. Maybe a handful of turns ago, and now they're down to 140. So actually buying those great works off them is going to make my life much easier with regards to winning the game. Another Great Wall. I definitely need an archaeologist over in this area as well, because I want this Great Wall to basically loop all the way up here. And a couple of people actually mentioned, like I said, oh, look, I'm generating tourism. And they said, well, what the hell does that mean? It's just a bunch of zeros. Well, that just tells you how many tourists in total this tile has attracted. If you actually hover over it, it'll tell you here. Travelers are arriving from afar to see your civilization's unique structures, generating +4 tourism per turn. So this actual number here is irrelevant. Like it's not super important. This is really just kind of a way to visualize this 36 number over here. So if I go over to my capital city, which is like my oldest city, it'll probably have a ton of great works or a ton of tourists over here, because the stuff in here has existed for a long time, and these each individual tiles have generated differing amounts of tourism. You can see here, because I founded a religion this game, I'm actually got about 1,000 tourism out of that, which means there's about 5 tourists in my religious holy site over here. And there's also 5 in my great library. So building these wonders is actually quite valuable. Jinqian, I think is how to say this. Jinqian. I'm not sure how to say this. It might be Xinjiang. is going to siphon funds again from Nidaros. Remember, that's how we're fueling our economy. We're using our spies and our trade routes and stuff like that to just fuel as much money as we can, because money is like production that you can just magically teleport to any of your cities. You can purchase builders, you can purchase buildings, you can do everything. Now, I need a ton of builder charges over in the northeastern half of my empire to fill out all this territory with useful stuff like forests and seaside resorts. There's electricity giving us access to the Seaport building, and that's really important because it also leads to the computer's technology. But the Seaport is fantastic because it gives you +2 gold, +2 food, as well as an extra housing, and more importantly, it also gives you +2 gold on all coastal tiles for this city. When you're using a sort of harbor-based economy, getting the Seaport up in a few key cities can be a fantastic way to generate insane amounts of gold from your citizens. It also makes your actual harbor tile more efficient. I believe if we go over here and check the harbor, normally if you work the harbor tile, it's a 1 food, 2 gold tile, which is essentially like working a slightly better coastal tile. But if you upgrade it with the Seaport, if you don't have a whole lot of coastal tiles, it can be worthwhile working because at least it's food neutral and gives you a little bit of gold. I wouldn't really recommend it myself, but it's something you can do in a pinch. I'm also heavily prioritizing building Renaissance walls because it's important to note that this strategy is designed to be able to get all those walls up and then immediately get the Eiffel Tower. I'm only a few techs away from it, but you have to remember, when you unlock the steel technology, you can no longer build new versions of walls. You can complete any that you started, but you can't place any more down. So that's why this is the stage of the game. Like, it's that window of opportunity when I'm about to get computers and then head for the Eiffel Tower. I try to pick up all of my walls using the limes card. I think it is limes. I use the limes card to pick up as many of those walls as I can and get as much tourism out of that as I can as a result. Why can't I build a great wall here? I thought you were allowed to build 3-way great walls. I guess I was wrong. Well, I'm going to build a great wall starting over here. Yeah, because the appeal is never going to be high enough here without the Eiffel Tower. So I guess I'll start another great wall and like loop it up around. I could have sworn you could build 3-way great walls. I guess I just was wrong about that. I'm also going to go ahead and grab these traders and pop them into cities that I think need like more production. In particular, Taiwan here, like it is building the Bolshoi relatively quickly, but a little bit of extra production, that's like a 10% boost. I think that would shave a few turns off that, especially if we can get this factory rebuilt. Our alliance ran out with Rome, and we do have a level 2 alliance with Rome now. So let's go ahead and declare a friendship with him, get the economic alliance, and what this is going to do, we'll take a moment here to kind of review the alliance we have with him so I can maybe take a bit of time of how we take advantage of this. So right now, with a level 2 economic alliance, we are getting +4 gold if we send trade routes to Rome, and if they send trade routes to me, I get +2 gold. I also get bonus envoy points for every city-state with your ally as suzerain. If we come on over here, Rome has no city-states that they're suzerain of, so I'm not really getting any benefit from that. Not that big of a deal, but worth noting. The really nice thing is if we can get this to a level 3 economic alliance, we'll share suzerain unique bonuses with our ally. That's especially helpful if you're in a game where your ally has a ton of suzerainities. Right now, it would mostly be me helping them. I'm going to check in again with America because I think he had another couple of these great works and he's not willing to trade them anymore because he's worried now. He's starting to get worried that I'm going to win the game, or else I don't have room for them. It's one of the two. Now, I definitely have room for them. I just don't think he's willing to trade them. Maybe because they're only freshly made. Maybe one of them is like not freshly made. Yeah. So he'll give me a great work for 4 gold per turn. Thanks. And then I'll be able to buy the next one next turn. So I'm just stealing tourism and culture from him, and he's just unwittingly handing it away. Not only that, but I just recruited my own great rider this turn. And here's a little tip for you guys. You don't have to like teleport your great rider around. Great works of writings are unique in that you can just kind of pick them up, pop them out somewhere, and then like swing your great rider over to like the nearest theater square and just immediately get it. So you don't have to worry about running them all over your empire. It's not like great works of art where there's a cooldown for when you make it where it can't be moved for a certain amount of turns. You guys might be wondering why I'm not using the final charge on Hieronymus Bosch as well. And that's for a very, very simple reason. If you look here at the Garden of Earthly Delights, it's providing 3 culture and 2 tourism. The same is true for the Last Judgment. Both of these great works were made by Hieronymus Bosch. However, if I take this great work and put it into the same museum as Xi'an, as the Last Judgment, you can see this first one is still generating 3 culture and 2 tourism, but this second great work is now only producing 1 culture and 1 tourism because it is the same kind of artwork made by the same author. You want to spread out different artists' works or else you'll get much less benefit. I guarantee you tons of players just put all of an artist's great works into the same museum and then forget about them. No. You want to spread them out. That's why there's a cooldown on moving them. So you can't just throw them all down in one museum and move them around. All right, factory repaired. Let's get ourselves the coal power plant. And that should bring us back up to full churn on production in here. And this is just something you can do. When you find yourself like with an excess of strategics, you just say to them, hey, give me like a little bit of gold. So it looks like he's willing to give me probably like an extra 2 gold on top of that 100. I wish there was a button that would just like let me set it to exactly how much he's willing. I don't really like that I have to fiddle around with things to try and get the best deal with the AI. I actually find that a little bit annoying. But regardless, I will get 230 gold out of Rome for selling 40 niter to him. I should also, it's really important to do this, and I kind of get lazy about it sometimes in my games, but make sure you're going through and selling off your excess resources to the AI, especially if you're not using them, and especially if you're at your resource cap. But anyway, trading with Rome gave me enough money to go ahead and purchase my archaeologist, and I can start clearing out some of these great work sites. Now, I had an idea here, but I don't know if it's going to work. I was thinking of doing a loop around like this, and then coming back out and looping up like this with the Great Wall if I can. Let's trade with Hamilton. Look at that. Look at these trade route yields. This is why diplomacy is so important in your tourism games, right? For the price of a trader, I'm getting 2 food, 3 production, 30 gold, 1 science, and 2 culture from a single trade route. And I'm not even trying to optimize that trade route for yields. That's just what I'm getting in general. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Reina. I'm going to take Harbor Master on her. And I also want to grab Tax Collector. The reason you want Harbor Master is because now I can plug her into a city that already has a really good harbor, like for example, Xingzhou over here has a +5 harbor, which means she would add another 15 production to Xingzhou. Let's go ahead and grab Reina, who is over in Wuhan, although I could actually technically leave her in Wuhan. This isn't a terrible harbor either, by any stretch of the imagination. It's only a +3, so I kind of feel like some of her value is wasted over here. Let's reassign her. I think she's better off in Xingzhou. And I think the city has enough loyalty to not need a governor anymore, especially when I still have my cultural alliance with Canada. A lot of people always ask me, why are you so willing to chop things away? And that's because I know in the late game, I basically take advantage of things twice. So by chopping now, I get a huge amount of production right now. And then late game, I can just spend 2 builder charges and have a really good production tile. Like, I basically get to have my cake and eat it too. So why wouldn't you ever do this? Let's nab one of these artifacts here. And I think I'm going to take a Harald Hardrada artifact to start with. Then I'll swing over here and start grabbing some of these ones. I have a spare Great Writer and I need a little bit more room for Great Works of Writing. So I'll buy myself an amphitheater. I'll swing one of my Great Works out of my capital. I'll go ahead and use this Great Writer to get another one. And then I'm going to talk to America and buy yet another Great Work of Writing off of them. This one's going to sell for 15 gold per turn, which is a little bit more expensive. So I'll see if he'll take like 30 Diplo favor to make it a little bit cheaper. Beautiful. We have actually managed to finish the Hermitage. And this is actually a wonder that I very rarely build. We've also managed to finish Mobilization, which gives me access to Newcastle's Belly, as well as the Levy on Mass card, which is a pretty nice card. But more importantly, by opening up the wonder here, this is like a really important thing actually about wonders with great work slots. Remember that rule that I talked about? Whereas if you put a great work in a place where there's a great work from the same artist already, that doesn't apply to world wonders with great work slots. You can see here, both of these Hieronymus Bosch artworks are in here and generating their full base tourism, which is amazing. So I could actually put all of these into here and be totally fine. And here we go. El Greco has appeared, allowing me to get the final great work of religious art that I'm going to plop into my capital that will theme the museum, instantly boost cultural heritage, and now give me a ridiculous amount of tourism from a single art museum. I'm getting 18 tourism from this. And I don't even have the card in that multiplies that. This over here, the heritage tourism, I'm probably going to pick that up right when I get democracy. Now, with the Hermitage finished, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Cristo Redentor And I need to make a decision about where it goes. I'm thinking kind of here maybe. I'm going to take this tile for myself for my capital, so that because I am giving up a mine here for this. I might even take this lumber mill as well, so I can even maximize my production even more, and that'll give me a 22 turn Cristo Redentor. Chengdu has completely repaired its industrial zone, and I really want to get the Seaport in here, but I think I'm going to purchase it, and I'll be able to purchase it in a couple of turns. But I also need to get things like the art museums and archaeologicals, but I'm going to get an archaeological museum in Chengdu because I need to get my archaeologists out. Archaeologists are like ways to turn tourism, or to turn production into tourism, so they're really, really powerful. And not only that, but if you actually look at the base yield of great works of archaeology, they actually provide 3 culture and 3 tourism compared to the 3 culture, 2 tourism of regular great works of art. So it's always super worth it to do that. It would be really nice to get my broadcast centers online as well, to be able to start housing great works of music, because I do have a great musician laying around over here with 2 great works of music sitting inside him ready to pop out. So I'm kind of tempted to get to work on some broadcast centers here, just so I can actually start placing those. I'm sitting on 12 envoys right now, but I like none of these guys really appeal to me. The only thing I would maybe consider at this point in the game is like saving up to purchase a settler and then getting the Nazca lines one, but even that doesn't seem too amazing for me. What I really want in here actually is builders. I need to build a great wall in this city, so I'm going to go ahead and stop building the broadcast center and go straight for a builder. 650 gold per turn is pretty damn nice, and that's going to get even better when I get tax collector on Reina. We're up to a stupid amount of money here, and hopefully Xingzhou or Xingzhou Zhao will continue to get better and better as time goes on. Nanjing needs its lighthouse and shipyard, so I think I'll purchase the lighthouse and then also purchase a trader in here and then save up for the shipyard, because I just need to get these cities like fully churning out as much productivity as possible so that we can get those Renaissance walls finished really quickly. Finally, starting to fill my coastline up with tourism generating improvements. You can see here I'm getting 4 tourism each from the seaside resorts, as well as a little bit of tourism from things like the Colossal Heads. I'm going to start kind of filling in this area. I have builders on the way for that. I even have a builder out already working on it. I think we're making amazing progress here, considering I can't remember exactly how much we started this episode on tourism-wise, but the fact that we're nearly up to 400 tourism per turn already is a really good sign. I'm a little bit confused why I can't build a great wall on this hill tile. Does anyone know why I can't build a great wall on this hill? It's just a hill. It doesn't tell me why I can't do it, which has me very, very confused. It says I can build it here, but I can't actually physically click on the Great Wall button. One thing that's really, really important is when you are building things like Great Walls, you want to make sure you're still growing your cities and not letting them, because like the city will see all this golden culture and be like, oh my god, these tiles are amazing, even if those tiles aren't really that great for your city. Nice, we just stole 520 gold from the city of Washington. Beautiful, and this guy is ready for his final promotion. I'm going to go ahead and take demolition so that I can sabotage and get a little bit of error score from maxing out that spy. I've got room for another 2 great works of writing. I'm kind of tempted to see if maybe I could purchase a great writer here. I don't know. I think I'll leave that for now. Now I finally have the cash to go ahead and purchase the shipyard in Nanjing, which is a +8 production, which essentially doubles the production of this city. And then I'm also going to plug in a trade route in that city, instantly boosting it from like 8 production to 23-ish production. Amenities are starting to be a little bit of a problem in my empire. There's a couple of cities that are occasionally complaining. It might be worth my while to go through and sort of negotiate with the AI for any of these luxuries that I don't have. Like, for example, I could talk to America or the Maori for spices. I could talk to Norway for gypsum and jade. So I'm going to talk to Norway for gypsum and jade. Please, sir, give me your jade and your gypsum. And it looks like you don't have coal, so I'll offer you a little bit of coal and see how you like that deal. It looks like you really, really value coal, so you'll even pay me a bit, right? Yeah, I'll give you 10 coal for these 2 luxuries, and I'll also grab spices off of America for a similar investment in coal and see if they'll also pay me a little bit back. So that little bit of amenity stuff should hopefully take care of the luxury problem that I was having, and potentially even give me positive amenities in some of my cities, which will net me a 5% boost to yield. I don't know where this crossbowman came from, but I got rid of him now. It looks like, ooh, brilliant. I'm actually going to get this city for free. Not an ideal city, but it would mean that I could extend this Great Wall, hopefully down this way a little bit. I'm just a little bit confused about this Great Wall restriction here, so I guess I'll just keep extending this the way the game kind of wants me to. So I planted a forest here, then I'm going to plant a lumber mill, and then that'll allow me to kind of jump in here and start building a seaside resort right here. And there's also another little cheeky thing I want to show you with your suzerain city-states, if I can. Beautiful. There's Qing Shi, who will give me 500 gold and get extra plundering from trade routes. Mainly those great admirals exist just to kind of give me my economy a bit of a boost. I don't really plan to go to war with my sea tiles, but you can see here, this AI just got rid of that farm for me, and I was hoping to actually plant woods on their tile, but they kind of jumped out of the way. But you can kind of do this sort of a thing. I can't remember, are you actually allowed to remove improvements for the AI? Because if you can, I could like retool their thing to give me appeal on my tiles, although they might change it later. As in the AI might go, wait, what the hell did this guy do to my tiles? I'm changing them back. We just discovered computers giving us a little bit of error score. More importantly, computers is a really important technology because it gives you a 25% boost to all tourism generation across your empire. So if I go over here to one of these seaside resorts that has 4 gold, and that means it's generating a base 4 tourism per turn. If I press the 7 hotkey, that will bring up the tourism map mode, and then hover over this, and you can see now this seaside resort should be generating 4 tourism per turn, but it's generating 5 tourism per turn. That 5 tourism per turn is then sent out as pressure against all of the civilizations in the game. It's then modified by all of these modifiers. So for example, the tourism that's pushed towards Teddy is multiplied by 50%. Or 150% because it's getting plus 25 for having a trade route, plus 25 for having open borders. So this 5, let's take these two together to make the maths easier. The 10 tourism produced by these 2 seaside resorts is being turned into 15 tourism per turn against Teddy Roosevelt. And the same is true for Coupe, for Harold Hardrada, for Trajan, and for Wilfrid Laurier, because we all have the same government, or no government penalty at least, and are therefore, I'm generating these 2 things, which look like they're generating base 10 tourism per turn, is actually getting multiplied by a bunch of modifiers. So it's like 15 times 5, which means it's generating 30, 60, 75 tourism pressure per turn against all of these civs, right? Like if you calculate the actual numbers, where the tourism is going and where it's pulling in tourists, that's what's happening there. So if you look at this number right here, you can see I have 12,000 tourism against Teddy, and I have 13,000 against Coupe. About every 1,200 tourism in a 6-player game, it depends on how many players are in the game, you will get a tourist from them. This 500 tourism number, right, is being applied to each civ individually, taken through some multipliers. So I'm actually generating, against Teddy, for example, I'm generating 755 tourism per turn, which means I'm stealing one of his tourists every 2 turns. And because his tourism culture per turn is like 150, I think he's generating one. He's generating 3 every 2 turns or something like that. I can't remember the numbers on the actual defensive tourists off the top of my head, but it's something like that. And so that's why you want to get all these really, really good modifiers like computers. That's why I rush it, because it makes your game so efficient in terms of tourism generation. Now that I have computers, pretty much nothing else in this tech tree really appeals to me, except for seasteads, which is so deep into the tech tree, it's really not worth speccing for much more tech. And I'm just going to go ahead and head straight to pick up steel to be able to get the Eiffel Tower, which will give +2 appeal to all tiles in my empire. Unfortunately, over here, I don't have a lot of room to make really good appeal. So I might like extend this farm a little bit to give Chen a good growth tile, and then start doing like colossal heads and forest lattices in here, just to have like a mixture of different ways of generating tourism. Xinchuan has leveled up. I'm going to go ahead and take seduction here so that he's a better counter spire. And this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. If I come in here and I remove this improvement, I should be able to plant a forest here to be able to start increasing the appeal of my own tiles, right? So that's why it's good to border a city-state that you're suzerain of. A lot of people forget that you can like modify the tiles of city-states, and it's really, really helpful. There is Ideology giving me access to another spy. I'm still down a spy. I haven't actually built it back yet. But more importantly, this is going to actually change some of the cards in my government. In particular, the Economic Union card now means I also get commercial hubs and harbors with 100% adjacency. The harbor part of that is a little bit more important. The second thing is I actually lose the limes card. So now it's inefficient for me to build walls because I'm building them half as quick. And you can kind of see how all this is lining up. I time when I build my walls to be just about finished most of them by the time I lose access to the light. Is it Limes card? Limes? I have no idea how to pronounce that thing. And since I lost that card, I'm just going to take the military research, pop it up into my military policy so I can continue to get that little bit of science that I need to get me through this game. I could, for example, plug in 5-year plan. That wouldn't be bad for the couple of industrial zones that I have. I really only have one really good industrial zone. I could also plug in skyscrapers to get a little bit more production towards wonders. That seems really good to me. Gunboat diplomacy is pretty handy. Sorry, no, that's not good. The gunboat diplomacy isn't the one. Machiavellianism will be pretty good if I wanted to build spies right now. There's a lot of cards that I really want to plug in. I could also plug in Grand Opera. Yeah, I think skyscrapers is fine here. That 15% is only applying to a couple of cities, but it's applying to so much production that I think it's worth it because it's going to speed these up by a significant amount of turns. Anyway, with the completion of Ideology, we're going to go ahead and get to work on suffrage, and we'll talk a little bit about why we want to go for democracy, okay? The first one is that it gives your trade routes to your allies +4 food and +4 production. We're already allied with everyone in the game, so great. We also have the card plugged in, Visselbanken, which is giving us +2 food and +2 production from the city. So we're already kind of getting that benefit. However, democracy doesn't obsolete Visselbanken. So I can be getting 6 food and 6 production from trade routes to my allies. That's insane. And that's before we ever consider the amount of gold I'm getting from those trade routes, any potential extra yields like culture, like faith, like science. That's why democracy is really, really good here. Not only that, but because I'm trading so much internationally, I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of gold. And the inherent effect, the second inherent effect of democracy is to give you a 15% discount on purchases with gold. That seems like a pretty good thing. A 15% discount on gold purchases, I think is like essentially like multiplying the amount of money you have by 1.2. I'd have to do the maths. Yeah, so a 15% discount is round about, say, roughly speaking, a 17.5% increase in the value or the amount of things that you can buy with your gold, right? Because if you get a 20% discount on things, that means it's technically like you have 25% more things. Yeah, it's just a way to do the maths. It's not that super important, but it is something to consider. I also need to get more amphitheaters big time, and I'm suppressing his culture per turn. We are now at 57 out of 150 tourists, which is fantastic. And we're continuing to steal tons of gold from Norway. I can build great walls in their cities? What? I thought I would be able to plant forests, but I get Leventa technically hasn't learned the forest tech, have they? Oh well, regardless, it's like a useful little tip, right? That you can do stuff like that. That you can actually modify the terrain of your city-state vassals. Now, I've stolen a stupid amount of gold over these last few turns. I've got about 4,000 gold in the bank. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Chengdu, and I'm going to go ahead and purchase myself the Seaport in here. Don't forget, I also have the military research card, so this Seaport is actually worth 2 science per turn for a little while, which is really, really valuable. And it's also going to give me a little bit of housing to allow this city to continue to grow. But the amount of gold that this city is generating now has nearly doubled, which is really damn nice. It's about to finish its archaeological museum. I'm kind of tempted to purchase some more buildings in here just to get these finished. This city is also working a lot of these coastal tiles, and it also even has an unimproved fish tile in here, which makes me a little bit unhappy. I'd like to get that improved, as well as these crabs. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and purchase a builder in here. I need to be wary of Norway because he has a massive navy outside my borders that he's just like not really doing anything with. Is he at war with Leventa or something? Like, what are you doing, Norway? I don't know. I think he's just being a jerk and like sitting in a navy over here for ages. Finally, my archaeologist arrived over here in Wuhan just in time for this builder to finish. So I'll be able to pop both of these out and maybe see if we can do something Great Wall wise. I might have messed this up, to be honest, because I thought the Great Wall could do a 3-way thing, but I think I was wrong. probably the best thing to do is to put a Great Wall here and here, and then delete this one and just put mines in this city and forget about it. Archeological museum finished in Chengdu. Let's get that archaeologist in here. I could purchase it, but it might be better to purchase. I'll purchase it just to get it out right now. What? I'm still building one. Excuse me? I just purchased this. Did I break the game? I would rather not. I would rather not break the game. Langfang is doing something that I don't really want it to be doing. It's working a lot of these Great Wall tiles, which are great, don't get me wrong, they give you insane yields. But right now I kind of want production, so I'm going to lock in tiles that have just a little bit of production, and that's going to let me take the build time on the Renaissance walls here from 17 turns down to 14 turns. You just want to, every now and again, check in with your cities. Make sure they're working tiles that you like. I'm personally sometimes a little bit lazy about this, but it is pretty important to do. Now, you want to put your colossal heads in kind of a grid pattern with forests in between them, like this, because one forest can boost essentially an infinite number of adjacent colossal heads. So by placing a forest here, I get +1 tourism and +1 faith on each of these colossal heads, because the colossal head improvements generate tourism based on the number of faith they generate. And ideally, I also want to get these up to 4 faith each, because that will allow the +25% tourism from computers and eventually from environmentalism, which also gives you a 25% tourism boost, to kind of get maximum of 6 tourism per one of these colossal heads. Let's grab ourselves another artifact. I'm going to take, I already have a Norwegian artifact, so I'm going to take a Coupe artifact here. That'll give me a doubloon. Beautiful. We finished the Bolshoi Theatre. Fantastic. This will give me 2 randomly chosen free civics. There's cultural heritage for free. That's incredible. And totalitarianism, which is a little bit less useful. This is actually one of the ones I would have preferred not to get. However, now I have heritage tourism, and there's no reason not to plug this in right now. The hard thing is picking what I want to get rid of. I think I can take out expropriation at this point. I have so much gold that a 20% discount isn't that big of a deal on tile purchasing, because I've bought like the majority of the tiles that I care about. But plugging in heritage tourism will give me a significant boost to my tourism per turn. Not only that, but this opens up the ability for me to actually put a great work of music down in here. And I'd also like to save up and buy the broadcast center and the zoo in my capital. Let's take a moment here. I've got a little bit of room for great works of writing. I have room for 3 more. Let's have a look around through the AI and see if anyone else has great works of writing that I could maybe buy off of them. Looks like Rome has the Art of War, and they're willing to sell it to me for 10 gold per turn. I'm going to go ahead and offer them like 300, 250-ish gold. Yeah, they'll take it for 250 gold, which is a pretty good deal. And that's another great work underneath my belt. I'm also going to grab this religious artwork and see if I can't go ahead and buy America's great work of music. Now, it's 32 gold per turn, which is really expensive, but I think about 50 diplomatic favor should make that cheap enough to be able to grab. And again, I want to reduce America's culture per turn, because that's going to make myself have a much easier time. I'm at 63 out of 152 tourists, and we're continuing to skyrocket our tourism per turn. With the completion of the Bolshoi Theatre, now's about a good time to start getting things like amphitheaters, seaports, flood barriers, all that sorts of jazz. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work on amphitheaters, grab ourselves another relic. I'll take a Wilfrid Laurier relic, and we can go ahead and check out this guy. We have a ancient era, a renaissance, and a renaissance. So if I could just get one more renaissance from a different player, I would be able to have a fully themed archaeological museum. I also want to keep an eye out for a great person that's coming up in the not too distant future called Mary Leakey. She's incredibly powerful. She appears in the atomic era. Right now, I believe we're currently in the industrial era, so I do have to wait 2 eras for her, because I have to go to the modern era, then the atomic era. But Mary Leakey is so incredibly powerful because she gets 300% of the normal tourism from great works of artifacts, which means they start to generate a base of 12 tourism each. That's why I really like to focus on getting those online. The best way that I can increase my tourism in Xingzhou is probably to get some builders, as well as to build a water park in here. I might even go for a neighborhood too. And I think this is as good a tile as any to plop a neighborhood down. But I think for now, I'll just grab myself a builder so that I can continue to improve the tiles in here. Water park completed in Qishan, I think it's called. What do I want to work on in here? I think I was planning on maybe going for the Panama Canal. I can't believe Mont Saint Michel is still knocking around there. But I'm going to go ahead and grab the really cheap things like Monument and Granary, just to get the city a little bit more housing, a little bit more culture. I really do need a builder in here as well. Maybe I could squeeze a builder in, and that'll allow me to improve these fishing tiles as well as improve more of the tiles in the city in general. And just to really simply illustrate the difference between having a colossal head with 2 adjacent forests compared to 1 with a single adjacent forest, these guys right here are generating 5 tourism per turn with a base of 4. This one right here is generating 3 with a base of 3. So just having that little bit of extra difference actually is a lot of tourism over the course of a game. There is democracy. We can go ahead and swing over to plug in democracy. And this is going to be a big change for us because now that we have democracy, our big goal is to start picking up all the tourism generating cards. I am going to plug in New Deal for the short term. And right now, not a lot is going to change with regards to my government. I might go ahead and plug in Machiavellianism just so I can get a few more spies a little quicker. And speaking of which, I can build a spy in about 9 turns in Jiaodong. I want to pick up shopping malls. I want to pick up space race for great works of music. But more importantly, I want to pick up environmentalism. So I'm going to rush down here for environmentalism for the plus 25% tourism across my empire. I have an art museum in Guangzhou, which means it's about time I picked up my next great artist. It looks like I'll pick them up pretty naturally in a few turns, so I'm not in a major rush for that, and I'll just slowly work away on a broadcast center so I have more room for great works of music. Another great writer passes into my hands, and we'll just do the same thing, right? We go back to our capital, we pull out a great work of writing, we move it in somewhere else, then we swing over with this great writer, pop in a new one, and we basically have no downtime on our great writers. So I finally placed my last great wall over here in this city, and that should complete things, although it does mean I have to kind of rearrange how I was going to do this city. But this nice little bit of great wall, like it's starting to generate a decent amount of tourism, right? I'm getting upwards of 2 to 5 tourism per each of these tiles, plus a little bit of tourism from building the Renaissance walls in here. The tourism from walls is also multiplied, by the way, not quite as efficiently as other things, but I'm getting about 7 tourism. Once I get environmentalism, that becomes much better. And so Khufu is also doing something a little bit silly. It's working a ton of these great wall tiles, which, don't get me wrong, again, they're really, really good, but I really want food and production in here to be able to get this city to like kickstart itself. Continuing to extend the Great Wall in Shanghai. Ideally, I wanted it to run all the way over to Shenyang, but that's just not going to be really viable for me. Nice, we siphoned even more funds, and we got the boost for economics. That means this guy over here is max level. Let's go ahead. I could sabotage here if I wanted to. That would be really, really annoying for him. Although he doesn't really have a fully built industrial zone, so I think I'm just going to keep stealing gold. Because if I can just keep stealing gold, I'll have a ridiculous amount of gold to buy anything and everything that I want. We have our flood barrier over in Wuhan. Let's place our neighborhood. I think I'm going to put the neighborhood right there on that tile. And then we'll get to work on the water park as well. Let's improve the aluminium in Shanghai, and we'll also get to work on a neighborhood in here. But I think I'm going to swing back and just quickly finish that campus because it's really cheap and it has a really high adjacency. I finally have the money I need to purchase the broadcast center in my capital. Let's swing out this great work of writing into Taiyuan. We'll create another great work of writing in here, and then we'll run our guy over here to create another great work of music. Like my capital, by the way, is generating an insane amount of tourism. If I go to this map mode, like I'm getting, 15, 30, 10 tourism from this site, 10 from here, 35 from this, 20 from this one. I'm getting another 23 from here. I'm getting a nearly 17 from the capital itself. I'm getting 10 from the holy site. I'm getting 1 from the entertainment complex. And it's insane. The amount of tourism that this city is generating right now is ridiculous. Here is another great artist. I'm not sure. Do I actually have room for... I do have room for another great artist. So I'm going to remove a... Let's see. I've got El Greco and a Hieronymus Bosch to move over there. This guy will make... it looks like a religious great work of art. So I want to put one of those into Guangzhou. So run over here to Guangzhou, and that should theme another museum for me. There we go. We got another themed museum in Guangzhou. And then I might pop a couple of these great works down into a couple of other cities. Looks like my alliances with America and Canada have run out. Let's go ahead and declare new friendships with them. Like so. I'll grab a religious alliance with America because the actual specific alliance that I get with him isn't super important. And similarly over here with Canada, I want to get the cultural alliance back online so that I don't have to worry about tourism or cultural pressure. And we have a level 2 alliance with Canada as well. And what that means is my ally, we don't exert pressure on each other. I get extra culture if I trade with them. And each of my districts grant an additional great person point per turn if I have a trade route from that city to my ally. So if I really want to generate an insane amount of great people points, I want to be trading with Canada primarily. So we are up to about 80 out of 157 tourists that we need to win the game. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to win the game next episode, and I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I'll get to show you guys the Crystal Redentor next episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!